and a couple pounds of honey I got from the grocery store. This is a Layton's orange blossom, and I've already got my yeast hydrating. I've got some orange zest that I'm going to be adding into here, so a little bit of extra orange flavor to it. And I'm also going to be adding in some sun-made raisins, which will give it a nice mouth feel. It's got the tannins, kind of like a black tea or a coffee would have. So you'll get that mouth feel of like you're drinking a black coffee. Really adds a nice complexity to the whole brew. So I don't know if you can see it here. I've got it's about a 1.5 gallon jug here on my scale. I'm going to weigh out about 2.5 to 3 pounds of honey.
How long have you been making mead for?
Off and on 7-10 years, I would say.
Wow.
I mean, I've only done a handful of brews just because of life, but like I can usually get about 6 of these full.
Nice.
Yeah, so a good sized beer bottle, and then I'll also fill up a couple of these growlers as well too. This is a 1 liter growler. I've done a couple of meads, and I've also done a cider.
Do you have one that like everyone just loves in particular, or?
And I'm still playing around with the different complexities of how much yeast, or how much well, not how much yeast, but the type of yeast, and how much honey I'm putting in, to whether I get a dry mead or a semi-sweet or a sweet mead. I'm not quite experienced enough, and I don't have the equipment to back sweeten, because then you have to pasteurize, because you're adding in honey after it's already brewed. So then you have to pasteurize it so it doesn't go bad. There is the first 2 pounds. I'm going to rinse that out well so I can get every drop of honey.
What are you predicting this one will brew as?
I'm hoping to go semi-sweet, if not a little dry.
I was
The
thinking
last
with
one
the
I did,
raisins. The raisins are really going to add a lot of flavor to it.
yeah. Last time I did a good helping handful of raisins. I didn't quite like the way it had the mouth feel to it. It was kind of overbearing. You really didn't get much of the flavor of the honey.
Okay.
So I'm only going to use a small little bit in this time.
Now, did you learn this in the SCA, or where did you pick
Yeah,
it up?
I started making it after I joined. Just kind of something to do, really. But since I've been down here in Primaris, and Baroness Zoe she is a Laurel in brewing. I've been asking her a lot of questions, and she's been helping me out a bunch too. Mix this up. Get every drop of honey out of here. I'm already at 2.5 pounds, so we're going to be good here. Last time I did it, it was only about 1.5 pounds or thereabouts. That one.
And how long does the process that you use actually take normally?
So it varies. Usually within a week or two, I am racking it into another jar, just because with everything that's going to be put in here and the yeast, it's going to cause a lot of what's called flocculation, and it's going to settle down at the bottom of the jug. You're going to have a real nasty layer of gunk at the bottom, but that's just all basically like the dead yeast and everything after they've done their job of fermenting. You rack it into another jug to allow it to finish any little fermentation that it'll have left, and to clear up a little bit. That. Right. All the honey is in. Take it off the scale. I'm going to add in water and give it all a nice mix and a stir so everything all blended up in here nicely. Now, this will be the first time I've used one of these larger containers because I want to get, as close to a true gallon as I can.
Completely understand that. That makes sense.
I want to get them all the mead that I can get, all the meads. I want it all. I love mead. Perfect any time of the year.
I would say my first time having mead was when I was a winch in ninth grade. We sang wassail and everyone got mead. What other fruits have you tried with this?
Mostly I've done orange peels was the last one. And this time I'm just doing an orange zest because a lot of times when you use the full peel, the white portion of the peel, the pith can cause a bitterness that you have to kind of let age out. But last time I didn't have to worry about that too much. But this time I'm trying to get as much orange flavor in this as I can to combine with the honey. I think that'll be a nice little combination.
And mead is it always served hot or
I've always done it chilled and cold.
chilled and cold? Okay, I've always had it hot.
Yeah, you can spice it and serve it warm. I've always just done it cold. I just like it better cold. I get home from work, pour myself a nice glass of mead with dinner, and just sit down and relax.
That's amazing.
And the last time when we did the the cider, I made a hard cider out of just basically apple juice from Publix. Um, I mixed in after the fact some Lone Hand cinnamon whiskey, and it was amazing.
So apple pie pretty much.
Yeah, just a shot per glass, and it was amazing. We actually learned that while we were at Disney.
Nice.
There's a drink in the animal kingdom called the rotten apple, and it's uh, Mike's was it Angry Orchard
Mhm.
hard cider, some Fireball, and then they throw in a couple of gummy worms in there.
Very nice.
Should be pretty well mixed. The rest of the water here. Get it up to as close as I can, and now I'm going to add in my orange zest, my fresh orange. Mix that up a little bit. And now the raisins. And I'm using the Sun-Made original raisins that don't have any of the oils or anything like that added to it. It's just plain raisins. There's nothing special about them. All just for the tannins and that mouthfeel to give it a nice blend and complexity. Just a small handful. Nothing too crazy with this one.
Perfect.
That in a bit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a gravity reading, which will just give me basically how much sugar is in here that's fermentable. So it'll kind of give me a rough idea of what to expect from this as far as alcohol tolerance. And you want to do that before you add in the yeast because it might start doing initial fermentation and it's going to throw your numbers off. I've got my hydrometer and a little cylinder there. Down in here. Fill this up to the point where It is basically floating. There's numbers written on the side of the hydrometer that will tell me where we are at. Might have to mix this just a little bit more because it's reading pretty strong. There's a lot of honey in there. That is perfectly fine.
I was gonna say there's nothing wrong with strong.
Again, 1.3. So now I'll write that down later. So I will use that. And then after in a week, I'll check it once I see that the airlock on the lid here is kind of slowed down a little bit. Will kind of give me an idea of whether or not it's still fermenting or if it's slowed down or if it's stalled. So I'll check the readings again in about a week or so. And then I'll probably let it sit another week after that. And I just kind of compare those numbers to it'll let me, if the numbers are stagnant after the 2 weeks, it's done brewing, and then I can rack it into another bottle. But now I'm
Amazing.
going to add in the yeast. I've had that hydrating. I'm using a Lavalin D47, which is a nice wine yeast. I've used that one before. I used that one for my first brew, and that one came out really, really nice. Get a little water in here. Mm-hmm. Goes in the yeast. And they do the rest of it. They will do all the hard work.
Mhm.
Mix this out a little bit and try and get every bit I can in there. And I've got only a little bit left of this gallon, so I'm happy with that. It's pretty well filled up to the brim right around here, right where the crest is. Put this on here, and this has an airlock seal on it. So it's going to allow the gases to vent out without allowing anything else to get in. No bugs or anything like that are going to be like get in there. Make sure that's nice and tight. And that's about it. Now it's just waiting, letting the yeast do their thing, and hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll be putting this into another bottle, and then a couple of weeks after that I'll be putting it into the bottles to be served. I'm hoping to try and get this done for Crown Tourney. I can send it off as a gift to His Majesty.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, 15,
Well,
20 minutes of actual work. I mean, most of it's all just prep work and making sure everything's sanitized and cleaned and dried and ready to go. Like I already had the yeast hydrating before we came on, and I had the orange zested and sitting out and waiting, and everything's been sanitized. And it's making it is fairly easy and fairly inexpensive. It's just getting all the materials. I mean, most of it I've been able to get on Amazon. Like I just got this larger jug 3 days ago, hon. When did this come in? 3 days ago? 3, 4 days ago? Yeah, Friday. So giving this one a try, and I got a whole bunch of different airlocks to try out. So I'm hoping
that's
for good success on this one.
that is honestly amazing. Thank you so very much for this interview and meeting with me tonight. And thank you again for everything you've done in the SCA, from what I've
Oh,
seen even.
you're very
So
welcome. It's
it
all part of the dream and just having fun. Like you'll get hooked into it, and all you just want to do is have fun. And then everybody
exactly.
else around you wants to have fun, and it just makes it even better.
Yes.
That's why I told Ken, like, as soon as you're able to fight in Crown, whether you intend on winning or not, like fighting crown, because it's an amazing experience.
Awesome.